Hi everyone, and in today's tutorial I wanted to talk about a really cool and powerful function that some of you are not aware of. It's called Expand Palette. So what is Expand Palette? If you look in the manual, it will tell you the Expand Palette function allows data in queues to be expanded to use all attributes from the palette. And it gives you a nice example saying, for example, if you've created a queue or playback that uses, say, an RGB palette, and then later on you morph the fixtures, or you change the fixture from one type to another, and now the new fixture is looking for RGB values, but the new fixture actually has got only the color wheel, then it will not work because the fixture does not simply know about the color wheel. The palette does not hold information about color wheel because it had only RGB values. So it's just to say it in a simple words, if you have a playback with or playbacks with a particular palette and you've used it, and later on you've added something new into the palette, and you would like these new changes to be applied everywhere else, this is where you use the Expand Palette function. Again, some of you, I'm sure most of you have used palettes, and you may say, okay, show us how it works. So I'll show you with a basic example of updating the palettes with the colors and how it works, and I will explain to you from the logic of the person who probably never used this function before. So let's select. I've loaded the show file called Maverick the Chauvet show file. So I've selected Maverick MK2 spots. I press locate, and let's say I'm gonna make a position palette. So I'm gonna use move the tilt, press fan, and I will move the fixtures out. I'll press record, and I'll press out, and I'll click here. So I've created a palette called out. Then I'm gonna use the fan in. So I'm gonna call this one in. I'll press rec. I type in on my keyboard, and I click here. It creates a palette. Yeah, so we have the palette. Yeah, we can press locate and we can test it. Yeah, palette 1, palette 2, yeah, it's all good. So let's select the first palette and let's create a queue stack, actually using both of these palettes, so two-step queue stack. We're going to press record over here. That's the first step saved. Now we press here and we press record over here. So press clear, double click to then press queue timing, and press yes. By pressing queue timing, we're converting chase into the queue stack. Again, most of you probably know about this. So if you didn't, that's a good start. So press queue timing, it creates queue stack, and if you press chase timing, it's going to convert back into the chase. So okay, if we start our queue stack, is step number 1. Yeah, we press go. Step number 2. Okay, let's say we've created couple of hundreds of the playback or queues across the whole show file, and we actively use those two palettes, the out and in. But let's say we actually realize right at the end that for every playback, for every queue where we have the out palette, we actually would like all the lights to be in a red color, and for every queue that has the in palette, we also would like to have the blue color, so all the lights become blue. So here's the question: how can you add the color information into those hundreds of playbacks that you've already created? And this is where a lot of people start thinking, oh yeah, we need to go one by one, try to update, try to do something, but it's way simpler than that. So okay, let's use the logic approach, and we will select the lights and we will say, okay, so we know that we need to update those palettes and we need to add a color into them. So first of all, how do you add the color into the palettes that we already created, into the position palette? So let's select, let's press locate. We'll press red, so we can see our lights, and now we would like to add the color information into the position palette that we have already created. So how can we do that? We'll have to hold Shift button. So hold Shift button, or on your keyboard hold Shift and press Rec. That will bring you the record options window. Here what you need to do is following. So if you press record merge and you will try to click on the position palette, the desk will ignore your color information. Why? Because by default only the position information can be recorded in the position window. But if you press in record merge and you also select color, that meaning you are forcing the MagicQ to accept the new data, the color information, into the position palette. So I've selected record color and we're only merging the information. We don't need to touch the position, only the color. We press close and we go here and we click on our palette number 16 out, and it tells you, would you like to update the palette position number 16 that's called out? Are you sure? You press yes, please. And then let's go with the color information, the blue, and we want to update this palette with the blue color. So you hold, sorry, give me a second. Okay, you hold Shift and you press Rec. So it brings you again this window. Again, we press Rec Merge, we press Record Color, we close that window, and we click on that palette and we press yes. So now, in principle, let's check it. So we'll select a light, press locate, and we press this palette. Yes, works as we expected. Press this button. Yes, works. Perfect, perfect. Exactly what we needed. And let's check. Let's press locate. And let's check our Cue stack. Okay, we updated the palette, so we expect it to be updating as well. And we run it, and no. Why? Because the Cue here. So if you double click here on our playback and see it's our Q1, we press View Cue. It shows you that it has information about a palette. So on the pan and tilt. Yeah, pan and tilt and pan and tilt speed, you have the word says out. Out is the name of the palette. So it is fully aware that there is a palette that's used, it's called out, and it's applied only on pan and tilt. But for the colors, it has only hard values. That means it knows only about, because I press locate, yeah, I mean some of you will not do it, but because it knows only about the colors that came from the locate. So it has no information about the color, that color that you expect to see from the palette. Because by default, if you add some information into the palette, that automatically does not go into all the playbacks to avoid problems. So, but let's say in our case, we actually would like to have this new data, new color data, to be expanded onto all our playbacks. How can we do that? This is where the Expand Palette comes handy. So you'll select your palette here, or this one, that one, doesn't matter. You press View Palette. So now if you look at the View Palette, you can see you have this new information here. You see in red, it's the color information. Pan and tilt, they're already there, it's all good. And now, in order for all the changes that we did to expand across the whole show file, we need to use the option called Expand Palette. So here it is. If you press Expand Palette, that will only expand selected palette. So if you press Expand Palette now, yeah, and now if you launch the Cue stack, you can see the first playback is working fine. But if you press go, the next playback still is not aware of the changes because you only expanded one palette. But if you want to expand all palettes, of course you can go to the second palette and expand it one by one. I mean, again, we did this from the measures of precaution. That means just in case you're not going to affect everything, but you can actually go into any of those palettes, press View Palette, and then you hold Shift button, again, Shift button, and now you have the button called Expand All Palettes. You press it, and now it says Expanded All Palettes in all Cues. So now, if you go into your Cue stack, let's reload them. We'll erase the fader, and we'll have updated Q1. press go, and we'll have updated Q2. And this is where the Expand Palette comes handy, and it's really powerful tool. So if you're doing a tour and you've actually need to update something, especially I had a lot of requests from people that have used, say, a Gobo palette, and then later on they find out that actually their focus positions are off and they want to update it, but they have never created a focus together with the Gobo. So in order to fix this, you actually, what you do is you select the fixture, add a focus, the correct focus, and then merge it into Gobo palette, and you do the expand all palettes, and it will expand it across the whole show file in one go. So again, you will save hours if you've created too many playbacks just by using this really powerful function. I hope it was useful. Thank you very much, and have a lovely evening. Take care. Bye.